Matt Meehan here for IrishBoxingCom. Emmet Brennan, it's always good to chat to you and great to see you. Hope you're good. First off, how are you?
Yeah, good. As I just mentioned here there, training away. Obviously got a fight announced for 4 weeks' time, but we've known for the last probably 4 to 6 weeks that this was gonna happen. So I've been training away, just waiting for the green light for the fight to be announced.
Um, New York kind of seems like a regular home for you now. It's more than probably more than half your fights have been in New York. And it's a regular thing. I guess it's good to be back in New York City.
Yeah, of course. Look, we've built up a good bit of support over there. This will be me fourth fight in New York, yeah. So I've actually fought in New York after this fight,
Yeah.
more than I fought at home in Ireland. Yeah, look, it's a great place. The Irish come out to support the Irish over there. Um, Harley himself, he's a big support base up in Yonkers, so we're expecting a big crowd at this fight.
Mm. Um, in terms of Harley Burke, as we just mentioned, kind of briefly offline, there, he's more than a sound guy. He said that he was gonna call you out, and obviously the fight that you had was signed, sealed, and delivered with Kevin Cronin. Has there been any more kind of chat in between the both these, or is it's just business and you take it and you do it?
Yeah, look, as I said to you earlier on, I met him in December. Just happened to be in the same bar as each other. I think it was the night after he fought in December. I fought over there last December as well, and um, he was like, "Look, I'm probably gonna call you out tomorrow for the Madison Square Garden show."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Look, it's a done deal with Kevin Cronin, so you probably are wasting your time a little bit." And he was nothing but respectful. And then we actually met each other last week. I was over in New York, obviously getting this fight over the line, and we met up with each other. Look, there's nothing but respect for him on my end, and I'm sure he's very similar to me. But it's a fight at the end of the day. Although
Yeah.
we are two good people, we're both going to do everything possible to win the fight. But look, I wish him all the best in his preparation for the fight.
There's been many Irish stars such as Macklin, Andy Lee, John Duddy, just three out of many more to name. Obviously, your name in the mix with Irish fighters being over in New York. But if you win this fight, do you see yourself as kind of one of the top lads, one of the top Irish lads in New York as a fighter?
Yeah, well, like, this is something that probably no one has done before. You're headlining the show in Gaelic Park, which is the being the home of the Irish community for decades in New York, which is great, but like you'll never live up to the hype that John Duddy had. John Duddy was a legend. I've met him once or twice, and when I've been over here over the last 4 years, and again, an absolute gentleman. Probably a different time where there was maybe a little bit more Irish at the time when John first went over, and he's such a good personality, great boxing style to go with it. Boxing has probably moved on a little bit since then. You're never gonna get to his standards, and you're never gonna get the following that he had because that's probably a generational thing. Um, but that is the motivation to get as close as possible to that, and try bring the glory days of when John Dudley and James Moore were fighting in New York. You want to get as close to that. As possible. There's probably been no one boxing in New York, an Irish person as regular since the two lads have hung up their gloves. So probably that is the motivation to try get New York, Irish New York
Yeah.
boxing back at a pedestal that it was.
Do you feel it's coming back, Emmett, yourself?
It is slightly coming back. Obviously, Callum Walsh goes over there, but it's only once a year.
Yeah.
As I said, when John Dudley and James Moore were boxing in the 2000s, they were fighting regularly. Maybe every 2 to 3 months, you had big shows in New York. So that is that's what you want to bring back to New York. Because as I
Yeah.
said, I've been back and forth over the last 4 years, and there is the appetite for that. For whatever reason, there hasn't been as many Irish people going over, or
Yeah.
as many Irish people trying it. Obviously, I'm a little bit older. I'm 34 now, so I only have 3 years left in the game. Maybe I'll give this a good shot, and I might bring someone in behind me to take the pedestal when I'm gone.
Yeah. Do you miss fighting back at home, Emma? Because obviously, as I said, there's been a good number of fights over in the States. But do you miss the Dublin Docklands? Do you miss being over there, but well, back home?
Yeah, look, well, I'm living in Ireland, but I do miss fighting in Ireland. Like, I always have a good crowd follow me when I do fight back in Dublin or Belfast, wherever it may be, and it's obviously very expensive for them to go up and go over to New York, and I'm not sure a lot of people made the trip this time because, as I said, it was only announced yesterday, but 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's financially very difficult for people
Yeah.
just to go up and go to New York 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. There's pros and cons. The big con is the expense on your family and your friends and people that want to support you. But yeah, you'll always miss fighting back home. And look, it's not like I'm done with fighting in Ireland, of course. If the right opportunity comes back home, I will. I'll take it with both hands.
Did you want in on any of the big cards that are happening in the next 2 weeks? I'm referring to obviously Michael Conlan against Jack Bates and that card in the trade-in in Dublin, and then Belfast Cock against Dublin in their rematch. Was there any want in, if you had any talks to anyone to try and get on either of those cards?
Yeah, we'd initially talked with Darren about getting on the matchroom card, and we didn't know when it was going to be. And then obviously my fight, the only date we could do the fight in New York was the 26th of September. And we
Yeah.
couldn't do any, there's no other date until the new year. And it's an outdoor show, so um, it made sense to go September 26th. So realistically, the fight 2 or 3 weeks beforehand just did not make any sense. So that was as soon as we thought about the idea of fighting on one of them cards, it was gone straight away because this is a big opportunity for myself, big opportunity for Harley.
Mm.
There's going to be plenty of Irish people at the fight, so whoever wins and puts on a good show here is going to have a very good support base going forward.
What do you want after this fight, if you've even thought about that?
I never really think too far ahead. For me, obviously, it's fight September 26th and get out one more time by the end of the year. That'll put me up at 8-0 heading into 2026. Um, we'll have one or two more fights the first half of the year, maybe the first 4 or 5 months. And then this was always the plan,
Yeah.
to take the stabilizers off then and take some big risks towards the middle of next year.
What kind of risks are you talking about there? Like what like obviously you said taking the stabilizer off, but what would those risks intend?
Ideally, go in against one of Matchroom's prospects, maybe.
Okay.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want to have a few things on my bucket list that I want to do first
Mm.
before you go down that road. I need to probably be a little bit busier because I haven't been fighting too regular. I need regular competition before I go into probably the big risks. But yeah, that'll probably be towards the middle of the next year. Obviously, I got to keep on winning, but my main focus is getting busy. I'd love another, as I said, 3, possibly 4 fights over the next 8 months, and then you're up to that standard where you're at being fighting quite regularly. You gain the experience. You're up at 8, 9, 10 and all now, and now you take that big opportunity and the big chance. Very
Um.
hard. Sorry, very
Yeah.
hard for a prospect to take a chance on me.
Mm.
Obviously, I know I've been to the Olympic Games. I'm still only 6-0. It's
Yeah.
a near enough a lose-lose situation
Yeah.
for one of the prospects from the big promotions.
Mm.
You win, you're only beating someone that's 6-0.
Mm.
Doesn't really
Yeah.
look great on their record, especially for people that aren't big into boxing,
Mm.
for just your normal fans. So for me, I sort of need to get to that 10 and
Mm.
0 before a prospect or someone that has a little bit of a better record takes a chance on me.
In terms of kind of you've won two county titles. Would an Irish title? maybe even a European title in suit you? Would that be something that, because obviously you said you had a bucket list, and obviously a boxer wants to win a title and a nice one as well. And the Celtic title, don't get me wrong, is a nice title to have, but will an Irish or European title and you're licking your lips, kind of like, listen, that actually does sound good and it sounds decent.
Yeah, look, the Celtic title, as I said, you don't want to, you're not putting disrespect on it, but it's
Yeah,
more a stepping stone for bigger titles. Yeah, like the Irish title did sort of like I wanted to win it. But then, sure, I done the 10 rounds against Kevin Cronin, which the Irish title basically wasn't on the line, but it's a 10-round Irish fight. It's to me, it's there's no difference between that and an Irish title fight. It probably should have been on the line that night. For whatever reason, it wasn't. So, since that wasn't, I probably looked a little bit past it. Obviously, if the opportunity did come up and it made sense, I would go for it. European title, no one's gonna say no to an opportunity at that. That
yeah,
is something that does motivate me. But again, as I just mentioned 2 or 3 minutes ago, there's a road to getting up to that
yeah,
level. And no one's gonna take a chance on you at 6-0 or 7-0, and
yeah.
you gotta go up the rankings to get an opportunity at that. Um Again, that's probably towards the middle of next year when realistically the likes of that does become a possibility. But right now at 6-0, that's not a possibility within the next 6 to 8 months. But 12 months time down the road, that could
Could
become
be.
a possibility. Yeah.
Um, Take me back to your last fight, March 16th. It was you against Kevin Cronin in your rematch. As you said a few minutes ago, it was over 10 rounds, you winning by unanimous decision. First off, did you think the cards were a bit wide, just in terms of your perspective when you were in the ring? Did you think that it was going to be that close? And second of all, just really kind of a brief evaluation on your performance?
No, I look. In there at the fight, I thought A2. And if you actually look directly after the fight, a person in the ring, I'd actually have no clue who this man is, but he asked me, what do you think? And I says to him, A2. And then my hand gets raised and I walk over towards the ropes to stand up
Yeah.
on it. And if you actually look at the video, he looks at me and goes, you were spot on. So
Yeah.
that's what I did think at the time. I actually haven't looked at the fight back and looked at it
You
round for
haven't watched it
round.
back? Wow.
No, haven't watched the back now.
No.
Um, Obviously a lot of people were saying closer at the time. What
Yeah.
I felt in there at the time,
Mm.
I felt the first four were maybe tight, and then I felt like I sort of just ran away with it. The
Mm.
experience, probably distance management, um, not letting the occasion get to the head. So for me, it was just I treated this like another fight. I didn't treat it like a rematch where people were talking a lot of crap about me. I tried to put the emotion aside and just treat this like a 10 round fight. And that's where like having that sort of mindset can help you when it comes into them crucial rounds and you're not thinking with emotion. You're thinking with a game plan. I thought the last 6 rounds we executed the game plan brilliantly. At the time, I felt excellent. I could have done another 4 or 5 rounds. I felt really in my comfort zone, probably the last 3 or 4 rounds. But again, I haven't looked at her back, so
Mm.
maybe if I look at her back, I might see something slightly different.
Is that unusual for you, Emmett? Do you usually watch your fights back, or is it just kind of the one time where yeah, you haven't yet, but you will?
Um, I'm really, I haven't looked at my debut back. I haven't
Oh wow,
looked at. I don't really
no.
like. If again, like I probably will look at her back now over the next week or two and just see what can I improve on. But I'll never sit down and look at the fight probably round by round. I did going into the rematch with Kevin because that's who I was fighting, and we've obviously fought each other in the first fight. So I looked at that probably 7, 8, 9 times where I was analysing him more than myself. But nah, you're never gonna look. You win the fight, you move on. Doesn't mean much by looking back over it.
In terms of this, just briefly again, this bucket list was Madison Square Garden on that bucket list to box in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, yeah, that was huge. lived up to the
Hype.
expectation in my
Yeah.
mind, because sometimes they don't. The Olympic Games for me didn't live up to all the hard work, all the sacrifices that are done. I also got beaten in the Olympic Games, so that might be play a part in it.
Mm.
But I had a lot of my friends here. I had a lot of my family over here. Had a lot of people that spent the hard-earned money and supported me to come over to New York. I had a lot of people in New York that bought tickets off me.
Mm.
Um, the event itself was great. We were treated great by 360 Promotions, and yeah, it just lived up to exactly what I've thought in my head since I was a kid. And it's always nice when that happens, because you know yourself, not everything goes that way.
Would you like to box in the Tree Arena again?
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned earlier, like, I haven't closed the door on Dublin. It's just that there's a little bit more opportunities for me in New York, and as I said, to fight in Gaelic Park in New York it's something that most people haven't done before.
Yeah.
This is getting backed by the New York Gaelic Association as well. So they have like 34 clubs in the association. You're going to have a lot of Irish people or people of Irish heritage at this fight night. This is, as I mentioned earlier again, this is a great opportunity for myself and Harley um, to put ourselves at a pedestal to go on and do great things over the next few years.
You're joined
Sorry,
on the card by Thomas Miles and Ryan O'Rourke. So it's kind of technically an all Irish card at the moment. But obviously there's opponents to be matched. But I say it's great to have a kind of Irish backing as well on the card. Ryan O'Rourke, a great prospect coming out of Dublin in O'Rourke's gym. Thomas Miles, a Galway man, I think, or a man from the West. I can't remember if it's either Galway or Sligo. I think Harley is from the West as well. I think he has some kind of hair, and then you'll be in Dublin.
yeah, it's great, and it's going to be an amateur side on the card as well,
Yeah,
where you'll have one or two Irish lads that's living in New York that are potentially going to fight on it. I don't think that's 100% done yet,
yeah.
but look, this is a night of celebrating Irish fighters. As we said, there's going to be plenty of Irish people there. The plan over the next few years is to try build Irish boxing back up in New York. There's no better place, no better venue than to do it in Gaelic Park, and as you mentioned there's a few more Irish people, and it would only make sense if you're having uh, two Irish lads headline the card, to have a few Irish lads on the undercard, giving them the opportunity and giving them the eyes to get Irish people there supporting them as well.
I say you have a kind of great contingency over in New York with you selling tickets and stuff and people backing you, and obviously you're known in the Irish community with boxing and stuff, and going into the local pubs and well the pubs over there, and the local community centres and stuff, and you're able to I guess selling tickets it's a good thing over there.
Yeah, and like we done a lot of groundwork for that. So like when I first went over like 2 years ago fighting, maybe a year and a half ago now, we done it the old school way. So we went around pubs, putting up posters, went around basically asking people to buy tickets. You sort of putting yourself out there, and it's not easy to do, but I think people respect you that a little bit more when you're going up face to face and you're going door to door trying to sell tickets, and you're putting up posters and handing out flyers and doing whatever you can just to get that ticket money in. But that stands to you. Now you have them people supporting you, and like that's not going to change for this fight. We're still going to go pub to pub, bar to bar, restaurant to restaurant, door to door, whatever you want to call them. We sell a lot of the tickets, physical tickets, rather than doing it online. So you're meeting people face to face. Again, that's the old school way, and I think the public and the people coming to support you, they respect that a little bit more.
Do you have people come back to you now, Emmett, because of that?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, of course. You'll have people that have been to the first fight, the second fight, and the third fight, and there's no doubt they'll be there again at the
Mm.
fourth fight. Again, you got to keep on top of them, and you got to stay
But it's nice
close
to
to
see
them.
them coming back as well, if you get me.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And like, haven't been in a boarding fight in New York yet, which that helps.
Yeah.
I'm very rarely in boarding fights, and again, looking at Hardy's style, he comes forward, he's throwing bombs, and he's a little bit of boxing IQ about him as well. Like you're not overlooking that. So again, similar to the fights with Kevin Crown, the fight with Jamie Morrissey, it looks like it's gonna be at some stage a domestic war, which it's always a lot easier to get people going to the fights when they know at some stage we're gonna engage and go for it. It's that little bit easier selling tickets.
Emma, on that note, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Matt, again. Appreciate it. Appreciate the work you're doing for Irish boxing as well.